Thank you for the lovely introduction, Carolyn, and thanks
Of course.
to you for inviting me to speak, and also to the Ottawa team and Izzy for working tirelessly to put this together. And I'm excited for what the night is going to bring.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
All right. So tonight I'm going to speak about how art has expanded my world. So first things first, I'm an introvert and I don't always feel at ease around people, but for as long as I can remember, art has been a safe space for me, even in a crowd. I knew that art and creativity was going to be an important part of my life, but through the years, the purpose and power of creativity has expanded for me. It's shifted from a protective and deeply personal practice to one that pushes beyond the limits of my individuality. Tonight, I'd like to share the ever-expanding potential that art creativity has brought to my life and how it constantly calls me out of comfort and into courage. So early on, art was an escape or refuge. I found that with my sketchbook, I could hide in plain sight and avoid any possible social awkwardness. I loved following a concept and having everything melt away in pursuit of the finished product. At the time, drawing for me was largely imitative. I would try and mimic my favorite cartoons or attempt to recreate photographs and scenes from life. But eventually, art became more imaginative. I felt comfortable trying new styles, mediums, and spent hours exploring on paper and canvas, often needing a nudge from my mom to come down for dinner. And so in this moment, I was very comfortable. Like, who could ask for more? I was doing something that I deeply enjoyed, and it was a great avenue of personal expression. But eventually, people began to notice that I could draw. If any of you have ever sketched in public, you know exactly what I mean. And this led to me thinking of drawing as a skill that could be honed for the very first time. I ended up going to Savannah College of Art and Design and majoring in photography. And this took courage. Many of the adults in my life didn't believe that going to art school would result in a stable career. You might be thinking, huh, photography? Um, so if you heard the record scratch, I also get it. Um, let's just say that while I love drawing, I didn't quite feel that I had the chops to be a successful illustrator. And since photography was also of interest to me, this seemed more viable at the time, and I chose comfort. My education was full of moments of curiosity and play, and I was able to collaborate with my peers, and we made a lot of cool stuff together and assisted each other on shoots. But after graduation, I returned home to Detroit, and I was unsure of what to do. The job hunt wasn't working out for me at the time, so I began to make the road by walking it. I wasn't the most outgoing. Again, I'm an introvert, but I reconnected with old friends and worked with some people who became my biggest cheerleaders. They shared my work even when I didn't think it was worth sharing. And I began to have a steady income. With time, openness, and bills breathing down my neck, I found myself working as a graphic designer, a photographer, and a videographer. But I was always drawing and dreaming on the side. For me, paving my creative path meant going before knowing. And this meant that before I was confident that I could do something, I had to muster the courage to seize opportunities and try. And in doing that, I learned a lot about myself and I grew in turn. But something was missing in my creative practice at this stage still, and I had to figure out what it was. I realized that I had spent the majority of my education and career passively engaging others through my work. I felt comfortable letting my work speak for me, still receding behind it, but that was beginning to change. I had been making what I was hired to make, which didn't always align with what I wanted to make. And so the question was, how could I reestablish my stake in the creative process? I had to cut through the noise and find my voice and recover what mattered to me. As I was thinking more about speaking through my work with intention, I was also experimenting with hand lettering, which was a great medium to explore my voice. And I found a community of artists who were infusing their personalities and values into their work online. And I asked myself if I could have the courage to leave the comfort of obscurity and do the same. Of all the letterers in like the letter sphere, Lauren Hom was someone who really stood out to me online because her posts were so rich with creativity and personality in a way that really excited me at the time. In 2018, I was telling a friend about possibly applying for a scholarship for Lauren's Passion to Paid course. It's a framework for creating and attracting work that you are excited about. That's exactly what I needed at the time. But even knowing how useful the course could be, I was reluctant to put myself out there and apply for the scholarship. But with the support of a few friends, I gathered the courage to go for it. So the prompt for the scholarship was to make artwork using the words passion project and caption it with why the course would be valuable to us. And I wrote about my quest for cohesion in the work that I create to make a living and otherwise, a piece of advice that came from someone that I actually met at a wedding. One of the most beautiful parts of putting myself out there and applying for the scholarship was that all of my friends and families and clients from all the time of like my journey at the moment were cheering me on, commenting and sharing, which was completely overwhelming in a good way. And I built a supportive network without even realizing it, I learned. Um, I went to sleep grateful and I woke up with a scholarship. So pretty early on in Passion to Paid, it became clear to me that it had been a while since I considered my personal motivations and what energized and inspired me. One of the most impactful parts of the course for me was this prompt to create an unprofessional resume. This encouraged me to think of my value, not in terms of skills that I've built up over time, but memories, joys, experiences that have nurtured a rich perspective. I learned the importance of leaning into all the things that make me, me. And putting what I learned into practice, I found that there were people who valued not only my work and craftsmanship, but the ideas and reflections that made that work possible. So the ultimate goal of Passion to Paid is to take stock of your skills, interests, and resources to create something that speaks to your point of view with the purpose of attracting work that feels great to make. Reflecting on some of my personal joys in the course reminded me of how much I loved receiving mail growing up and how regrettable it is that the magic of mail is dulled in adulthood by a constant stream of bills, unsolicited mailers, catalogs, you name it. And so the project I dreamt up in the course would prompt me to draw more, build community, grow my illustration portfolio, and celebrate the mail. I fleshed out the project and launched it in 2020, naming it This Is Not a Bill. Since then, I've been creating hand-drawn postcards in response to anyone who requests one. I ask them to tell me something good, but I get a little bit of everything. And it truly is a joy to pause and read their message and respond with something thoughtful. This Is Not a Bill has been a major boon for me. It's really a treat to have this thoughtful correspondence in a time of trending topics and hot takes. Expressing my creativity with an intentional openness had allowed me to meet and befriend some amazing people in ways that I wouldn't have dreamed of sketching in my room long ago. By participating in online challenges like Inktober and Lauren's homework prompts, I became more comfortable showing up online and found like-minded people. I felt supported and enjoyed paying it forward via comments, shares, and messages. A really cool thing happened this time too. I had the opportunity to attend one of Lauren's talks at Lawrence Technical University as a part of their AIGA lecture series. A couple of friends were nice enough to accompany me, and after the talk, when I tried to scurry away, one of my friends challenged me to wait and talk to Lauren, and I did. Little did I know that 7 months later, Lauren would be looking for some help in the studio and think of me. And now I work with Lauren full time and we make really cool things together. I use every single skill that I learned along the way, like from photography in my early days to hand lettering and illustration. And it's just really cool to capture like behind the scenes at the studio because Lauren's awesome. I feel really fortunate to learn from her firsthand, and I've been able to connect with really awesome creatives through her as well. So these days, the spirit of creativity has been calling me away from the systems of comfort into a place of curiosity, from the solitary to the communal. I'm over 200 postcards into This Is Not a Bill. And with working full time with Lauren, I've also just realized how collaboration is becoming even more important to my creative process. More and more, I think about what's possible when we pool our efforts and do things together. For me, the challenge is, how can I create opportunities to build community, and how can I become more invested in the well-being of others? I'll be honest, I actually don't know what this looks like for me yet, but I do know that pursuing the answers will take courage. I see embracing the unknown as a big part of being designers and artists. We can try new and difficult things while keeping our values in view. I'm always exploring ways to bring about congruence between what I do creatively and my ideals as a member of society. And so I've tried answering the call to collaborate on projects that raise funds or awareness for causes that I believe in, like this tea design for Herbivore Clothing's social justice fundraiser, and for You Are Not Alone's postcard activation for Mental Health Awareness Month. I also seek alignment in projects and work opportunities, like this voting campaign for Coach and this banned book t-shirt that licensed a quote by the LeVar Burton, someone who I have a personal connection with because we thought he was our dad when we were kids. And most of all, And the most nerve-wracking for me is sharing knowledge and ideas with others, something I'm attempting tonight. I'll probably always be an introvert, but my art practice has taught me that when I challenge my own comfort, when I'm courageous, I have access to these creative power-ups. I'm able to explore new and existing ideas more deeply. I can communicate powerfully and with clarity. I can connect with others and form meaningful relationships, and I can collaborate with people on a common goal. Tonight, as we ponder together on how we define culture, my invitation to you is to think of creativity not as processes to be learned in pursuit of comfort, but as ever-emerging pathways on your daring life journey. When has your creative practice last called you to be when has your creative practice last called you to be courageous? Did you answer that call? And are you doing so in the present? Thank you.
Jazz
Awesome.
hands. Yeah.
Jazz hands. Thank
That
you
is
so
so
much,
awesome.
Kristle. Yes, it was beautiful.